Well, what we did last year was we looked at a whole bunch of different elements of what we thought it would take to build resilience in the U.S. We're not done, right? we could still keep building resilience, but I think we started and we pushed forward really important conversations. So, for instance, one issue we took up was building more fiscal resilience. Of course, this is still an ongoing challenge addressing U.S. debt, but we had a proposal last year written by Mark Duggan about smart reforms for Social Security, and I think that got a lot of interest from people across the political spectrum. It was, just evidence-based ideas about how to reform Social Security.
There are questions about what we ought to do, whether it's industrial policy, trade policy. There are prior questions about if we do it, what will be the effect? And one of the things I think you look a lot at is whatever you want to decide to do, what is the effect of actually imposing tariffs on trade, for example?
Right, that's exactly right. So let's take as given that policymakers, politicians, Trump wants to bring jobs back, wants to, produce things domestically. Imposing tariffs, we can look at the evidence, that's likely to drive up prices, and it's not likely to create jobs. So once we actually take the evidence, it becomes harder to just put forward talking points or policy proposals. And so then we say, okay, well, if we really do want to produce more imperative products in the U.S., if we really want to build up jobs in distressed areas, what does the evidence tell us works? And so a lot of what we're trying to do is bring evidence to bear, not just allow talking points to be repeated, but actually to say, let's challenge ourselves to come up with policies that will achieve the objectives.
So you are responsible for organizing and putting together this entire program, but you're also on a panel yourself on higher education. And certainly it's been an issue for a while, but certainly over this last year, higher education has been right on the front page every day. A lot of questions about what higher education is, what it should be, what it's doing. What's your view on how bad the situation is right now for higher ed?
Let me start by saying I'm bullish on higher education. American universities are the greatest in the world. Our higher education sector is crucial to building up skills, to creating and producing basic scientific advances that improve living standards. But I think that the challenges facing higher education are real. I think the loss of confidence in higher education, in the value of a four-year degree, that many Americans express, that some red state governors in particular are pushing back on. I think those sentiments provide a challenge that leaders in the higher education sector can't ignore. The optimist in me thinks that this reckoning is perhaps a really good thing, and that it's time for college and university leaders to think about what is our purpose, what are we doing here? Have we become so bloated that maybe we've lost some of the focus on teaching and research excellence? Have we driven up costs in a way that people are right to start questioning whether the college experience is worth the cost? And so we're going to be unpacking this in the discussion in our group, and we have a lot of people in the group who are college presidents, former college presidents, involved in colleges in a variety of ways. And so I'm really looking forward to this conversation about what needs to happen on campuses, what kinds of cost containment measures need to be implemented, what kinds of things need to happen to reverse some of the ideological conformity on campuses in a way that we could restore the public's trust, restore the value proposition of a college degree, and make sure that the erosion in public sentiment, support for public funding doesn't continue.
Is there a discussion going on about what the central mission of higher education is? Because you just mentioned two things. One is educating people, getting them ready. Another is ideology. And there's been a lot of discussion about ideology on college campuses. I mean, all people have ideologies. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. But it seems to have really come to the fore on college campuses in a way I haven't seen before.
David, I think this is a really interesting question. And as someone who spends most of my time on a college campus, it strikes me that when you read the mission statements and strategic visions of colleges these days, they use very sweeping language. Most of them are in the service of humanity. They're radically committed to equity, diversity, and inclusion. I think it actually, all of the verbiage is great, but it does make me wonder whether some focus has been lost. And so, again, this is a watershed moment for four-year institutions in particular, and I think getting back and forcing these colleges and universities to ask what is our main purpose is really important and ultimately could be very beneficial.
You just said forcing them. who's going to force them? Nobody likes a boss. And that seems to be true with higher education as well. There's tenure, there's precedent. What is the mechanism to hold them accountable?
Well, we've got enrollment declines that are going to continue. Demographic changes are actually going to continue to see, I think continue. We'll see declines in enrollment. So that's going to force colleges to figure out, to re-examine their business model and what they're offering. If public support erodes, public universities in particular are facing a backlash, and they rely on taxpayer money for a lot of their, to keep their business model going. And so those will be forcing mechanisms.